Today we're going to talk about the relative afferent pupillary defect, RAPD, also known as Parkinson pupil. What does this mean? Basically, it is a condition in which pupils respond differently to light stimuli shown in one eye at a time. To put it very simply, what I mean to say is, this is the optic nerve or the sensory part of the eye that will take the information that the light has been shown and take it up to the brain in very simple layman terms. Okay, in RAPD what happens is, why is it called relative and why is it called afferent? Relative means that one of the optic nerve, for example in the right eye the optic nerve is absolutely normal, but in the left eye the optic nerve is weak or basically weak or damaged due to any unilateral optic nerve or retinal disease. So what will happen? If I show my light here on the right eye, the signal will go through the optic nerve, through the optic chiasma, optic tract, the pupillary pathway, and the efferent third nerve will come into action and constrict the pupil of both the eyes. As we can see, we will talk about the light pathway in detail some other time, but basically if my stimulus is in this eye, the Edinger-Westphal nucleus relays the information to both of the third nerve nuclei to constrict the pupil. Third nerve nuclei will act on the sphincter pupil and constrict the pupil. So basically if I show light, the right eye, that is the normal eye, then both of the pupils will be constricted, right? But if I show my light here on the left eye and I assume it is damaged, what is damaged? The optic nerve or the retina, okay? It is damaged. So the brain will presume the signal which is coming is very weak, right? Because it is damaged. So the brain will presume there is no light here in the damaged eye. So the brain will dilate both the eyes. Instead of constricting, it will dilate both the eyes, right? So this is what RAPD is essentially. Okay, RAPD is if in the normal eye I show my light and there is constriction of both the pupils simultaneously. Okay, that means that the right optic nerve pathway and the efferent pathway of the both eyes is normal, absolutely normal. But now if I show my light in the left eye and assuming the left eye, okay, now in RAPD, if I show my light to the left eye, assuming the left eye optic nerve or afferent pathway is damaged, what does that mean? That means that my brain will here perceive that there is no light, therefore there will be no constriction, and instead of the normal activity, normal physiology that pupil should be constricted, there will be dilatation. So in relative afferent pupillary defect, if I show my light to the normal eye, then both the pupil will constrict. If I show my light to the abnormal eye, then both the pupil will dilate. Okay, due to decreased sensory stimulus to this pathway. And the third condition that should be met is both eye pupils should be equal in size. Why? We will learn it later. Okay, so RAPD, there are three conditions to be met. If I show my light to the normal eye, means the normal eye afferent system is alright, that means both eye will constrict. If I show light to the abnormal eye, here the left eye, there is abnormal pathway, damaged pathway, so both the eye will dilate and the both eye pupil should be equal. That is essentially what RAPD is. Okay, so it is because of a unilateral or asymmetrical disease of the retina or the optic nerve. Okay, unilateral should be unilateral. If not unilateral, it should be asymmetrical. That means one eye has more damaged optic nerve as compared to the other eye. Okay, what happens if there is bilateral and symmetrical condition? Then will we call it RAPD, relative? Will it be relative? No. Then it will be bilateral afferent pupillary defect. If I show my light to the right eye, no constriction. To the left eye, no constriction, no relativity. Okay. What is the significance of this RAPD we are studying, relative afferent pupillary defect? It is the early diagnosis. It is the first sign of optic neuritis. You know, the most common cause of which is multiple sclerosis. So it is very important OPD procedure to check the pupil of the patient. to diagnose it early and treat it as early as possible. Now, what are the causes of this RAPD? Any pathology affecting the optic nerve, basically. Okay, so we can divide the causes into three parts: unilateral optic neuropathies, unilateral retinal causes, and other causes. Unilateral optic neuropathies, there can be demyelinating disease, optic neuritis, the most common cause of which is multiple sclerosis. There could be ischemic optic neuropathy, example, arteritic ischemic optic neuropathy or NAIO, non-arteritic. Glaucoma. Glaucoma is usually a bilateral disease, but if one optic nerve is more severely damaged than the other, then RAPD will be elicited. Optic nerve inflammation, sarcoidosis, SLE or Sjogren's, any cause of inflammation of the optic nerve. Optic nerve infections, for example, cat scratch disease, syphilis, Lyme, toxoplasmosis. Then hereditary optic neuropathy, Leber's. Optic nerve tumors, any compressive optic neuropathy, and traumatic optic neuropathy. What are the retinal causes? Retinal causes will cause RAPD only if they are severe in nature. Okay, like ischemic retinal diseases, central retinal venous occlusion, CRAO, ischemic branch retinal venous occlusion, could be ischemic diabetic or sickle cell retinopathy. And ischemic ocular diseases, example, ocular ischemic syndrome. Retinal detachment could also be a cause if macular detachment is also present. If the macula is off, okay, or at least 2/4 of the retina are detached. Then severe retinal macular degenerations, intraocular tumors like retinoblastoma, melanoma, and retinal infections like CMV, herpes simplex virus. Other causes may be amblyopia, only if it is severe and the vision is less than 20 by 400. Cerebral vascular diseases, when the optic tract is affected. Okay. Now the diagnosis. I've already talked about this to explain to you the definition of RAPD. So basically, what do we see in the pupil is the size of the pupil, the equality of the pupil, the shape of the pupil and regularity, and also the response to light. Normally, there should be equal and quick response to the direct light and the consensual light. Direct light, what does direct light mean? It means that if I'm talking about the right eye, if I show my light directly to the right eye, that will be the direct reflex of the right eye. That means I'm only seeing the right eye right now. Okay. So I'm showing the light to the right eye. This is the direct reflex. Direct reflex would be constriction of the right eye. Okay. Now I'm just looking at the right eye, but I'm showing the light in the left eye. But I'm looking at the right eye. Okay. So when the right eye is constricting because there is light shown to the left eye, this is the consensual reflex of the right eye. Okay. RAPD, I've already explained to you that showing light to the normal eye will constrict both the pupils, but showing light to the abnormal eye will dilate both the pupils because the brain is perceiving no light here in the abnormal eye. Okay, and both pupils should be equal in size. Prerequisites for doing this test, this is known as the swinging flashlight test. Okay, the patient should be fixating on a distant target, the room should be dark, there should be a bright light source, and at least one normal pupil. What is the limitation of this test? There could be examiner bias, dark iris, anisocoria, and a small pupil, which is difficult to elicit this RAPD. What is the major limitation is the subjective examiner view, right? The recent study has shown there is inter-examiner disagreement. Like people can't agree with because it is very subjective whether the pupil is dilating or not. There could be various factors at play, like the angle you're showing the light at, and what is the end point of that dilatation or constriction you're considering. So the error is very high, up to 39%, which leads to a lot of misdiagnosis in early stages of optic neuritis and other pathologies. So there is a test that is a quantification of RAPD. What can we do to quantify this? Right, this is so subjective, whether the pupil is dilating or constricting, what endpoint you're taking. So there are neutral density filters. This is also fairly subjective, but we can quantify it in 0.3 units, 0.6 units, 0.9 units, 1.2 units. Neutrally density filters, what we do is basically in front of the normal eye, we put a density filters. What they do is reduce the quantity of light that is entering the eye, right, in front of the normal eye. So like we are basically in front of the normal eye, we're putting some filters as to decrease the sensitivity. And then we are doing swinging flashlight test till there is no dilatation, right? till there is no dilatation. What we are doing essentially is normal eye में we are just simulating the intensity of the light perceived by the normal eye, right? Like इसमें the normal eye, for example, if the light is at 100%, but we are only perceiving 50% because of a optic nerve defect. Okay, and now the light here is 100%, right? We want to find this number. What is this number that we are perceiving? We want to quantify this number. So in the front of the normal eye, will produce like we'll put like density filter, so the quantity of light entering the eye will be reduced. So we will put till we reach 50%. At 50%, when both the eyes are equally at 50%, no RAPD will be elicited and no dilatation. Therefore, we got to know the quantification कि यहाँ पे कितना तुम्हारा decreased है intensity of light due to your optic nerve defect. That is your 50%. This is for just for example. We use log units like 0.3, 0.6, 0.9. In this way, we can quantify the RAPD. What is the grading of RAPD? Grade 1 is there is weaker constriction followed by greater redilatation of the normal eye. Then there is initial stall followed by the greater redilatation. In the third stage, there is no constriction, there is immediate dilatation as soon as we put the light in the abnormal eye, right? The fourth and fifth stages are theoretical. We cannot elicit it practically. Fourth stage is immediate dilatation when prolonged light to the normal eye is given. Prolonged means 6 seconds. Stage 5 is immediate dilatation with no secondary constriction at all. Now new there is digital Marcus gun test. Basically pupillography, which is a computer based infrared video instrument. It is used to measure the diameter of the pupil and see its reaction to light. And there is like a separation between the two eyes. We put an instrument that separates the two eyes very nicely, so there is no like light infiltrating. When we are putting light in the right eye, the light will only be present the right eye. So there are digital pupillometers, and then they perform the swinging flashlight test, and then algorithms basically decide what is the grading and quantification of RF. Now the clinical thing I was talking about earlier in isocoria, why there should be equal size of the pupil, because very easily we can differentiate between afferent and efferent lesions. Afferent, what does afferent mean? Afferent means that away from the eye. That is what we learned, right? Afferent is away from any organ. For example, that means is the eye is taking information to the brain. Whatever nerve is taking that information to the brain is your afferent nerve, right? It's the brain. What is the afferent? Second nerve. So when that is damaged, what we have learned is RAPD and the pupil size will be equal. And when there is anisocoria, what does that mean? That means the efferent. What does efferent mean? Now this is your brain and this is your eye. What is coming from the brain to the eye? The motor part, the efferent part is affected because it provides the tone to the eye. Tone. What does that mean? That means the sphincter pupillae has certain tone that keeps your pupil slightly constricted, right? So when this tone is lost, efferent, there is defect in one eye, this eye will be a little more dilated than the other eye, causing anisocoria, difference of pupil size between both the eyes. Okay. So if there is anisocoria, you cannot say it is a relative afferent pupillary defect because it most probably is an efferent defect, a third motor neuron defect. A third motor nerve defect, sorry. And what will be the differential diagnosis of anisocoria? There could be iris defects, right? There could be sphincter damage, torn irises, transillumination iris defects, which can also cause anisocoria. So this was all about RAPD. If you have any questions, please comment below. And if you want these notes, please also comment below.